Art vocabulary.
Artist.
Artist.
Someone who draws or paints, pictures or creates sculptures as a job or a hobby.
Monet is one of my favorite artists.
Atelier.
Atelier.
A room or building in which an artist works.
Here are the studios of sculptors and the ateliers of workmen.
Brush.
Brush.
An object with short pieces of stiff hair, plastic, or wire attached to a base or handle, used for painting, etc.
We gave him paint and brushes.
Canvas.
Canvas.
A piece of this cloth used by artists for painting on, usually with oil paints, or the painting itself.
Two valuable canvases hung in the room.
Charcoal.
Charcoal.
A hard, black substance similar to coal that can be used as fuel or, in the form of sticks, as something to draw with.
I prefer sketching in charcoal to pencil.
Clay.
Clay.
A type of heavy sticky earth that is soft when wet and hard when dry or baked, used for making bricks, pottery, etc.
She made a bowl out of the clay.
Crayon.
Crayon.
A small stick of colored wax used for drawing or writing.
There is lots of pencil and crayon activity.
Daub.
Daub.
When you daub a substance such as paint on something, you spread it on that thing in a rough or careless way.
The walls of the building were daubed with red paint.
Decorate.
Decorate.
To add something to an object or place, especially in order to make it more attractive.
They decorated the table with flowers and candles.
Draw.
Draw.
To make a picture of something or someone with a pencil or pen.
The children drew pictures of their families.
Easel.
Easel.
A wooden frame, usually with legs, that holds a picture, especially one that an artist is painting or drawing.
The painting on the easel is a portrait.
Engraver.
Engraver.
Someone who cuts designs or words on metal, glass, or wood.
He was a master engraver in his own right.
Etch.
Etch.
To cut a pattern, picture, etc. into a smooth surface, especially on metal or glass, using acid or a sharp instrument.
He etched his name on a piece of glass.
Fire.
Fire.
When a pot or clay object is fired, it is heated at a high temperature in a special oven, as part of the process of making it.
I have watched the potters fire and paint their bowls and vases.
Frame.
Frame.
A border that encloses and supports a picture, mirror, etc.
She put his picture in a silver frame.
Gild.
Gild.
To cover a surface with a thin layer of gold or a substance that looks like gold.
The gilded dome of the cathedral rises above the city.
Illustrator.
Illustrator.
An illustrator is an artist who draws pictures and diagrams for books and magazines.
She's now a wonderful artist and illustrator.
Ink.
Ink.
Colored liquid used for writing, printing, and drawing.
The book is printed in 3 different colored inks.
Kiln.
Kiln.
A type of large oven used for making bricks and clay objects hard after they have been shaped.
In one area of the room there are 3 kilns as well as a potter's wheel.
Master.
Master.
A person who is very skilled in a particular job or activity.
This painting is clearly the work of a master.
Mix.
Mix.
To combine different substances so that the result cannot easily be separated into its parts.
He mixed the blue paint with white to lighten it.
Model.
Model.
To form something from a plastic substance such as clay, or to use a plastic substance to make a form of something.
She modeled the clay into a sculpture.
Mold.
Mold.
To shape something into a particular form.
She molded the clay into little animals.
Oil paint.
Oil paint.
A thick type of paint with an oil base, used for painting pictures.
His brush is loaded with lots of oil paint in scarlets and pale pinks.
Paint.
Paint.
A mixture of a pigment with oil, water, etc., in liquid or paste form, used for making pictures on canvas, paper, etc.
You can drip the paint directly onto the canvas.
Painter.
Painter.
An artist who uses paint to create pictures, or a worker whose job is to cover parts of buildings with paint.
We are studying 19th century French painters.
Painting.
Painting.
The skill or activity of making a picture or putting paint on a wall.
We were taught painting and drawing at art college.
Palette.
Palette.
A thin board with curved edges and a hole for your thumb, used by artists to mix their paints on while they are painting.
He showed his student how to prepare a palette.
Pastel.
Pastel.
A soft, colored substance, usually in the form of a small stick, that is used to draw pictures, or a picture made using this.
The show includes 85 paintings, pastels, and sculptures.
Pavement artist.
Pavement artist.
A person who draws pictures on a sidewalk using colored chalks, especially so that people who walk past will give small amounts of money.
I have been a pavement artist in London.
Pencil.
Pencil.
A long, thin object, usually made of wood, for writing or drawing, with a sharp black or colored point at one end.
One wall featured a series of drawings, pen and pencil on paper.
Pigment.
Pigment.
A substance that gives something a particular color when it is present in it or is added to it.
The wool is colored using only natural pigment dyes.
Pose.
Pose.
To move into and stay in a particular position, in order to be photographed, painted, etc.
We all posed for our photographs next to the Statue of Liberty.
Printmaker.
Printmaker.
A person who makes prints, especially an artist working in one of the graphic mediums.
For this 18th century master was more than just a painter and printmaker.
Screen print.
Screen print.
An image printed by forcing ink through a pattern cut into a piece of cloth stretched across a frame.
She produces T-shirts with screen prints of her drawings.
Sculpt.
Sculpt.
To create solid objects that represent a thing, person, idea, etc. out of a material such as wood, clay, metal, or stone.
Johnny sculpted an old man's head out of wood.
Sculptor.
Sculptor.
A person who creates sculptures out of material such as wood, clay, metal, or stone.
From the time of the cave painters, artists and sculptors have used patterns to make sense of the world.
Shade.
Shade.
To introduce degrees of darkness into a drawing or painting, in order to render light and shadow or give the effect of color.
I'm going to shade this part in.
Sitter.
Sitter.
Someone who sits or stands while someone else paints them or takes photographs of them.
A special relationship exists between the sitter and the artist.
Sketch.
Sketch.
A simple, quickly made drawing that does not have many details.
My mother made a sketch of my brother reading a book.
Smudge.
Smudge.
A mark left on a surface, usually unintentionally, from having touched something wet or sticky.
The paper was smudged with ink.
Splatter.
Splatter.
To hit and cover a surface with small drops, or to cause this to happen.
The paint splattered when I dropped the bucket.
Spray paint.
Spray paint.
Paint that is forced from a container under pressure so that it comes out in very small drops.
She found a can of gold spray paint.
Stencil.
Stencil.
A piece of card, plastic, metal, etc. into which shapes have been cut, used to draw or paint patterns onto a surface.
He drew the design on the stencil with a steel stylus.
Studio.
Studio.
A room with special equipment where television or radio programs or music recordings are made.
She spent 3 months in the studio working on her latest album.
Tempera.
Tempera.
A water paint used in this technique in which the egg water or egg oil emulsion is used as a binder. Compare.
He never worked in fresco, preferring oil and tempera.
Work.
Work.
Something created as a result of effort, especially a painting, book, or piece of music.
The museum has many works by Picasso as well as other modern painters.